everyone. Thanks for coming. I'm Andrew Hayward, senior writer at Decrypt.
And my name is Mathieu Nouzareth. I'm not the CEO of Sandbox, but I'm an advisor and board member, and I work closely with the company.
So we're here to talk about the Sandbox. How many people already know about the Sandbox?
Who owns sand? Land? Okay. Congrats.
Hello.
So, the alpha test went live this week. Can you talk a little bit about what the reaction has been that you're seeing?
It's been really, overwhelming, and we didn't know really what to expect because we've been working on the game since 2018, so it's really a long time in the making. And we were very, excited and nervous to launch it, but did very well. So I can give you a few metrics about the game, where it is right now. We've had more than 1 million registered users. And even so, the game just launched alpha. I think it shows the excitement and really what people want to do, and play with the game. We have tens of thousands of people who already tried the game since Monday. So very, very, very good beginning. We're super excited.
I mean, people must be insanely excited to play it because for years it's sort of been on the horizon, talking about the hype around it, selling land, selling sand, NFTs. How does it feel for you guys to finally let people in and get a chance to play around with it?
It's amazing to see real people play with the game because, as you said, it was just mostly us, our team, and a few people testing. But the thing is, the reality is making a good game takes a very, very, very long time. There is no overnight success in the gaming space. You need to, build the game, polish, and iterate. And that's why it took us almost 4 years. But the good thing is now I think we have a head start. Lots of people are starting right now. So it's going to take them a lot of time to come up with a very polished product.
For the people that don't know a lot about the Sandbox, and might only be a few of you, can you talk a little bit about what the game is, what people can do in it, and what the opportunities are within?
Yeah. So the Sandbox is a metaverse game, and it's a combination of something that's truly a game, and the DNA of the company and the DNA of the people working at the Sandbox is really about gaming, as opposed to many other metaverse out there today. And that's really what sets us apart from many other metaverse out there. But it's also a place where you can socialize, make friends, and it's also a place where it's a good place for creators. So anyone can, go there, download the game maker and the avatar maker, make your own avatar, make your own mini games, build whatever you want. And it's all about being, decentralized and permissionless. And we think users and players are going to be eventually much, much better than Sandbox to come up with, buildings or mini games in the land.
There's a land rush going on for virtual land. I saw DApp Radar had a report this week citing more than $100 million worth of virtual land in metaverse games and worlds just over the last week alone. And most of that was in the Sandbox. You guys started selling land back in 2019 before most people thought that was a viable business opportunity. Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about the conviction that you had that this was going to be something people wanted?
I think, NFTs sometimes are complicated. I'm sure you've all tried to explain NFTs to friends or family around you, and not everyone understands, or even let alone crypto. But the virtual land, I think everybody can understand the concept, and everybody understands that the lands, especially in the Sandbox, there is a finite amount of land. I think it's 166,000 pieces of land, and it's very easy for everyone to really understand the concept. That's why people are rushing.
I think one of the most interesting things for me about the Sandbox is how many different brands have come into it. I mean, you've got Walking Dead, Atari, the Smurfs, Snoop Dogg, Avenged Sevenfold, and that's just like the tip of the iceberg. What is drawing brands into the metaverse, and how are they going to, represent themselves in this new world?
I think all the brands want to experiment, and they all understand that it's obvious the world is moving from physical to digital. So they want to, be there and be where the users are. As to what they're going to do, we don't really know. And it's not up to the Sandbox to tell them what to do. We really want the brand to, be their own creating force and do whatever they want in the game. And they're gonna have, I'm sure they're gonna have to experiment, test, and eventually engage the community, monetize. That's the ultimate goal.
And one of the latest brands to come in is Adidas. Can you talk a little bit about that?
We announced the deal, I think, was last week. Very excited to have them on board. And as I was saying, we're going to help them. And we can't announce yet what exactly it's going to be, but we're going to help them. But at the end of the day, it's Adidas' world. It's Adidas' land. They're going to do whatever they want to do on the land. And we'll just have a backseat.
So it seems like the Sandbox's timing has been pretty spot on given the NFT boom this year. Just leading up to your alpha launch and then the eventual game launch. How much of a benefit has that been for NFTs to really enter the mainstream and find millions of collectors before the game comes out?
I think that was very helpful. And I think, so crypto is very difficult for most people to understand. NFTs are a bit easier. It's bringing a lot of non-geek people to crypto, which is really great. And this NFT boom really helped also bring people to the Sandbox. So we are just the right product at the right time for now.
And now you don't really have to explain NFTs to people because that's already out there.
Exactly, yeah.
So I have an 8-year-old kid, so Fortnite is constantly being played in my house, Roblox is being played, and I played with him. Those games already do a lot right, in my opinion. In your view, what do they do right, and what can the Sandbox and Web3 do to make them true metaverse experiences?
Those games are, as you said, they're really great, super polished. The experience is good. But I think what they're missing is the creator part. And what we do at Sandbox, we allow everyone to create and also own their creation. And that's really what sets us apart from many other game solutions out there. My personal conviction is that most games will go, towards this direction pretty soon. I hope they will migrate as well. It's going to be probably hard for them, but I think they should try to embrace crypto as well.
And we're starting to see more interest from the major game publishers too, the established traditional publishers out there. Ubisoft has been experimenting in the space for a couple years. EA recently said that they're looking into it. How soon is it going to be before we see these companies actually release a big project or really invest in the space beyond what Ubisoft has done?
This is typically what is called the innovator's dilemma, because when you're a big company and you want to innovate on a business model that's very different from what you're used to, whether you sell on a console or if you sell on mobile, you do microtransaction, and all of a sudden the model is turned upside down. So it's very difficult for big companies to learn that. So I will see. I think they're experimenting. I really want them to be successful and, make the gaming market better. I think it's going to take a while, again, because making a game really takes a long, long time. So I think maybe 2023, 2024, we'll see the big game publishers coming with blockchain-based game. That means it leaves a lot of time for a smaller, more nimble startup to enter the fray and be successful.
One of the things that I think traditional game publishers will have to contend with is their fans not being into NFT games and crypto. There's a lot of pushback amongst traditional players. As somebody who used to cover games full time, a lot of my colleagues are very against this whole movement coming in, and so I see a lot of that on Twitter every day. I'm curious what you think it will take to start convincing people that there are benefits to this model and that it's not a scam.
I have the same pushback, and it reminds me of the pushback the industry had when mobile gaming started to take off, and people were like, IAPs and microtransaction, it's horrible, it destroyed the gaming, and it's really bad for gamers. And eventually, I think console games still exist and they do well, and mobile games still exist and it does well. And I expect, the world to, I expect blockchain games to coexist with mobile game, console game, PC games. I think it's also up to us, blockchain-based game companies, to come up with games that are more than just grinding or making money. It has to be games that are fun to play, fun to engage with, and just more than just be rich or make a quick buck. So, but I think we are aware of this, and we're working hard towards finding the right balance between engagement, monetization, retention, and just overall fun.
Yeah, you mentioned free-to-play games. I feel the same way. It feels exactly the same because I was covering mobile and in that space, and there was a lot of pushback. But eventually, we got great free-to-play games. There are awesome free-to-play games out there. So, is it just a matter of figuring out the right balance, the right focus on gameplay, and maybe abstracting the business model a bit?
Yeah. And I have an anecdote actually. I'm sure a lot of you know why Bitcoin was created. I think in 2008 it was like a pushback with, this financial crisis. But do you know why Ethereum was created by Vitalik Butrin? And the story goes that he was a very avid World of Warcraft player. He spent a lot of time building characters, and one day Blizzard, I think, came up and changed or weakened his character, and he was devastated for days. I think he was crying, and this is when he decided he wanted to create a new system where big companies don't own the content, and he came up with Ethereum. So Ethereum at the core, the root of Ethereum is really gaming.
Let's talk about Meta.
Yeah.
Give me your first take on what they're putting out into the world, what they're trying to do, and if you think they're genuine and sincere about saying that they'll work with other companies. And
well, first of all, we know very little. We know they're recruiting a lot of people. They're very serious about it. And I think it's going to be interesting to see, is it going to be a closed environment, or is it going to be really an open metaverse? I still think if I were them, I would, even being Facebook, I would still try to push for an open metaverse. I think it can happen, and we welcome them if it's open. I was about to say we'll work with them, but we don't have to. It's not up to us. It's based on standard. It's open.
You can coexist with them.
We can coexist.
If they're willing to.
Yeah, and I think the metaverse, I don't think it's going to be a winner-take-all market. I don't think it's going to be one metaverse ruling the whole world. I think it's going to be a collection of different metaverse, like you have different websites around the world. So yeah, we welcome them and see what they do.
The goal of crypto companies with the metaverse is to be open and interoperable, and not have a closed system so that people can take their NFTs and their assets to various platforms and spaces. How important is that to the Sandbox as you guys are building towards this potential future metaverse?
It is it's at the core of what we're doing, and I think it's also very much what our players, our landowners really want to see in the Sandbox. They want to be able to see that what they do, they own, and they can also transfer from the Sandbox to, I don't know, Decentraland, CryptoVoxel, other. And we can also import, in Sandbox, you can import your NFT. If you want, you can buy a piece of land, make your own NFT museum, and then you can display your NFTs if you want. So for us, it's open and interoperable is really key.
A few weeks ago, I was speaking with Yatsu, the executive chairman of Animoca Brands, the parent company of the Sandbox, and he told me that he sees Facebook and Tencent as threats to the open metaverse, and that's why he said we're in a hurry to invest in all the metaverse companies we can to try and bring this to life before Facebook can take it. Do you see it as such, an existential kind of threat?
I mean, they have a lot of, financial power. They have a lot of manpower, so they can certainly come up with something pretty big. But I think the players will eventually, they will want to have something open. So I think, they're a threat, but I think and I hope the open game companies will win. We'll see.
And so no matter what people think about Meta and their own, intentions in the space, it has undoubtedly created a lot of hype around the metaverse over the last few weeks. We've seen Sandbox and Decentraland's tokens surge in value. We've seen a lot more NFT sales. Can you talk about the impact of Meta, even if it's not what they're working on, but just kind of drawing attention to the space?
It definitely drew attention. and I think mainstream media was more into the metaverse. So it really helped us. So that was good.
Let's talk a little bit about the competition that's out there right now. Decentraland has been live for a while. It's, when people talk about the metaverse, the crypto metaverse apps that are available, it's Decentraland and then it's Sandbox on the horizon. What sets the Sandbox apart from Decentraland? What is different about your approach?
It's really the gaming DNA that we have at Sandbox. And Decentraland and others, I think they're more like social networks where you hang out. It's a little bit more like Second Life, if you guys remember Second Life from 20 or 25 years ago. And at the Sandbox, it's really the whole company. We've been working on games since, I don't know, the 2011. The first version of the Sandbox was a mobile game. I think that was launched in 2011, 2012. So we really, the whole team is really composed of game lovers and game experts.
I actually wanted to touch on that mobile game origin for the Sandbox. That's like such an interesting backstory. I'm curious what inspired the move to blockchain. What gave the developers, the creators, the idea or the conviction that this was the way forward?
I think so. The decision was made, I think, in 2018. And I think it was a vision from the founders, Sebastian and Arthur, that gaming and blockchain is the perfect combo, and that you could bring a lot of fun and game and value to users. It was very early on at the time. We were, if you remember, if you were in crypto, there was like the crypto winter, post-ICO craze, and I think they really had, they were very, very early on. Now it's easy to recognize that the Sandbox, is at the right place at the right time. But at the time, that was a pretty bold move. So, yeah, congrats to them.
All right, I'm going to shift gears here. I mentioned Snoop Dogg earlier. I always want to talk about Snoop Dogg and what he's doing in NFTs and crypto. He's going to put on Metaverse Party in the Sandbox. It seems like he's going to have a concert, and you guys have sold party passes. Tell me all about how Snoop got on board with Sandbox and sort of the opportunity that you see there.
So Snoop Dogg, I think, is, as you know, is very much into NFTs and crypto in general, and we approached him and his team, and I think he was immediately very interested in the Sandbox. And I think he was interested in the fact that, we were very close to shipping and launching, which is not the case for a lot of projects. And I think he was interested in our gaming route. And so we're doing two things. I mean, we're going to do multiple things with him. The next campaign is going to be around selling land with Snoop Dogg, and then we have this VIP concert. We sold 1,000 tickets, and it's coming early next year.
I mean, if you're going to be in the Sandbox, why wouldn't you want to have land next to Snoop Dogg?
Yes.
I mean, that's a very appealing proposition. Does it surprise you that Snoop Dogg is as deep into NFTs as he claims to be with his Cosmo account?
Yeah, we don't know if it's him, but I think really what I love about NFT, it's bringing so many people from so many diverse backgrounds. No, I'm not surprised. Everyone can understand NFTs. If you believe that the world is moving to an online world, you easily understand NFTs actually at the end of the day. So
should we anticipate more celebrity-type moves in the Sandbox like that?
Yeah, it's not the first one, but we're working on we cannot announce deals yet, but more will come. And not only more will come, with striking deals with them, but eventually more will come by themselves. And as I said, we have a finite amount of land available, so they better rush, because eventually they may be left without any land.
Yeah, on the topic of land being very valuable, I saw just yesterday that a piece of land in the game sold for $4.3 million to Republic Realm. Can you just reflect on how crazy that number is and why it's so valuable?
I think it's like the real world. It's a piece of land is valuable because if people think, first, if they think it's going to be valuable, and if you think it's rare, and if you're going to have if you're a shop, a lot of foot traffic, or if you want to host people, if you think it's a nice place to be. So, it's not that different from the real world.
And owners have the opportunity to monetize their land in
Yeah.
different ways. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, I think eventually at Sandbox, we're building a rich ecosystem. So first of all, you can come and play in the Sandbox without owning any land. You don't need to own land in the Sandbox to play. You can really just, and it's also free to play. I mean, you don't need to buy crypto. You can really go there and just have fun. And then we want to build a rich ecosystem. You're going to have players, you're going to have landowners, landlords. And if you're a landlord, you can decide to either do something with your land or you can rent it to somebody who can make something out of it. Maybe you rent it to somebody who's going to be a concert promoter, and the concert promoter is going to be in charge of, striking deals with celebrities, artists, musicians, and selling tickets. Or you can be a landowner and you want to make your own game, so you can, contracts with game developers. And I think it's going to be a rich and vibrant ecosystem.
Speaking more broadly about the future of NFTs, are there any use cases that you see on the horizon that aren't being tapped today, or anything that will be kind of an interesting new way of thinking about NFTs?
I think NFTs, at the end of the day, an NFT is just a digital property right, like in the real world. So I think everything that you have digital rights in the real world, I think you can have the equivalent in online, but I don't know yet. We'll see.
Back to the Sandbox. Can you talk about the long-term vision that you see for the game?
I think it's already, if you play in the game, you see the long-term vision. It's about having a fun and welcoming environment for players. It's going to be a great place for creators to build and monetize their games, or doesn't have to be game. Maybe it's just a place where you hang out. So the long-term vision is really to build this place where people can play and socialize.
Last month, or maybe the month before, the Sandbox actually bought a Bored Ape NFT that was worth $2 million.
Yes.
Why? Do you know what was the intention of that?
So, first of all, we bought it, but we also have a lot of Bored Ape in our collection. Sandbox was very early on collecting NFTs. I think we have a few hundred NFTs already. And the reason why is because we noticed that a lot of Bored Ape owners were buying land in the Sandbox. And as you know, crypto is all about the community. So it was a way for us to, tell the Bored Ape community, you're welcome here, we understand you, and come and play in the game.
And people's Bored Ape avatars, their illustrations will be turned into 3D avatars
Yes.
that they can use in the game too.
Yeah. Eventually you can.
Is that something that you guys are going to look to do with other projects as well in the crypto space?
Maybe, or maybe other projects will do it themselves. Again, open, interoperable, standardized. So we don't want to do everything ourselves. We just want to be providing tools and a platform for people to do whatever they want.
As we start to wind down here, I want to talk a little bit about onboarding the next generation of crypto users and how valuable games are in that, and kind of making it easy to understand and giving them a reason to come back. How can the Sandbox help with that?
I think, first of all, the Sandbox gameplay is super simple, very intuitive, and I think it's going to help a lot onboarding non-crypto, non-geek people. We still have a long way to go as an industry. I think onboarding in general is still a bit difficult. You have to go to Coinbase, buy ethereum, wait 7 days, install a MetaMask Chrome extension, send it to your Chrome. It's still a bit difficult, but as time goes by, I think the onboarding will be much, much easier. And I think gaming and NFTs in general is the great way for non-geek people to come into crypto. It's like the gateway drug to crypto.
All right, I think that's all we have time for. Thank you so much, Mathieu. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hello, hello.